Welcome to Tax File. I am your host, Laure Bala Hassan, and today's episode is packed with delightful segments you won't want to miss. We are starting off with a roundup of the latest tax news, keeping you informed on all key developments. In our Did You Know segment, we'll share some interesting tax facts. Then, it's over to Vox Pop segment, where we hear what the people have to say about some tax issues. In the Knowledge Zone, we'll dive deeper into your opinions and unpack the details. Our Professional Insight segment brings expert perspectives to help you better understand some tax topics. And finally, to What's on the Net, we respond to your comments and questions from our social media handles. It's going to be an insightful ride. Let's get started. And now, the news. Governor Seyi Makinde has urged Nigerian tax authorities to balance enforcement with a strategic understanding of the informal sector to widen the tax net without overburdening citizens. Speaking at the 157th Joint Tax Board JTB meeting in Ibadan, he cited Oyo State's success through mass tax education, simplified processes, and linking tax compliance to incentives such as access to credit and jobs. Aisha Abdulkadir has that report.
We recognize that the informal sector, made up of traders, artisans, commercial drivers, and small businesses, forms the backbone of our local economy. Historically undertaxed, this segment has now become a focus of strategic action.
Echoing this view, the executive chairman of FIRS and JTB chair Dr. Zach Adediji called for innovative approaches to formalize informal sector operations. He emphasized integrating informal businesses into a structured system to enhance equitable tax administration.
The Joint Tax Board is a national and inclusive family, being the umbrella body for tax administration in the country, and it is a critical player in Nigeria's tax system. It's charged with the mandate of promoting and ensuring uniformity, harmony, and efficiency in personal income tax administration, while providing advice on general tax matters to all tiers of government.
He disclosed that the JTB is transitioning into the Joint Revenue Board with expanded responsibilities under the soon-to-be signed JRB Establishment Bill.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, is strengthening ties with the Nigerian Armed Forces in a strategic move to boost tax compliance and improve revenue generation. During a meeting at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja, FIRS, through its Intergovernmental Relations Department, IGRD, emphasized the direct link between national security and effective tax collection. Saama Chido reports.
The director IGRD, Dr. Umaru Idris Ahmed, highlighted the unit's role in promoting the service image and fostering interagency cooperation. He noted that the insecurity significantly hampers revenue collection, making collaboration with the military essential to achieving FIRS national mandate. Chief of Defense Staff General C.G. Musa reaffirmed the military's commitment to supporting FIRS, stressing that taxation underpins the operations of the armed forces. He praised the agency's progress under the leadership of Executive Chairman Dr. Zach Adediji.
Meanwhile, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has formally inducted a new group of staff members as part of its continuing institutional reforms aimed at transforming Nigeria's tax administration system. The induction ceremony, which took place recently in Abuja, represents a milestone in the service's renewed commitment to transparency, excellence, and innovation.
Give me a great pleasure to warmly welcome each of you into the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Today does not simply mark the commencement of your employment. Rather, it signals the beginning of a profound personal and national journey.
Wherever you start does not mean where you end. What we are looking for is where you can deliver value to the service that has given you this opportunity to join us.
This is a very serious organization because it is our responsibility to assess, to collect, and to account for taxes due to the federal government.
This recruitment process was not merely about filling vacancies. It was a deliberate step towards building institutional resilience and preparing the service for the future. We were looking not just at your qualification on paper, but for individuals with the right mindset, the right value, and the hunger to serve this country with distinction.
And that concludes the news. Let's now join Mariam on the Vox Pop segment.
Hello and welcome to the Vox Pop segment of the program, where we ask random people on the streets what they know about tax-related matters. I am yours truly, Mariam Julie Adura, and today we will be finding out about the progressive tax. Come. Today we want to find out what you understand by progressive tax.
Well, progressive tax, based on my understanding, is a tax that you pay higher with a higher income, and these are taxes you also pay higher taxes with higher profits. So it's assumed that the lesser the income, the lesser taxes you pay. If you earn high, you should also pay higher taxes. A good example of that is the pay taxes, even with company income taxes. When you earn and you make good profit, you pay taxes different for other people that make losses or don't even make little profits. So that's my understanding of a progressive tax.
What do you understand by progressive tax?
Okay. Progressive tax is, as the name implies, progressive. I believe is tax is income earners are taxed according to how they earn. That is, the higher you earn, the higher tax you will pay. The lower you earn, the lower tax you will pay. And I think a lot of countries practice this progressive tax, Nigeria inclusive. And though it used to have, there's a lot of problem, a lot of people believe that it's unfair. You understand? People, those that pay higher, they feel it's unfair to them, that why should they pay higher tax because they earn higher money, so they believe that it should be equal. But the essence of it is actually for redistribution of income evenly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we want to find out from you what the phrase progressive tax means.
Thank you. I think to the best of my knowledge, progressive tax is a tax that is progressive in nature, just like the name implies. The higher you earn, the higher taxes you pay. So it's a kind of, some would say it's equitable taxation, because it is commensurate with your income, and then it is commensurate with one's earning. So that's what progressive tax is.
Did you know that the more you earn, the higher your tax on the pay-as-you-earn regime? For more information, visit our website on www.firs.gov.ng.
Ashu Abe takes us on the Knowledge Zone.
Hello and welcome to Knowledge Zone, where we give more insight to the conversations we had on the streets. I'm your host, Ashu Abe. In this episode, we'll be talking about progressive tax. What is progressive tax? Progressive tax involves a tax rate that increases or progresses as taxable income increases. It imposes a lower tax rate on low-income earners and a higher rate on those with higher income. This is usually achieved by creating tax brackets that group taxpayers by income range. The rationale for progressive tax is that a flat percentage on all income will place a disappropriate burden on people with low incomes. The amount owed might be smaller, but the effect on their real spending power will be much greater. In summary, the more you earn, the higher your tax. Over to you, Laurie.
And now to our professional insight segment.
Every economy have different fiscal policies that they use in trying to shore up domestic revenue mobilization. And one of such fiscal policies are through granting of incentives. And so when you grant incentive, there are things you are expecting to get from the government. So based on that, if you do not precisely analyze and appraise the kinds of incentive you grant and the benefits, if it's an investment, we say return on investment, the benefit you get in granting those incentives, then you may not be doing the economy well, then you may be losing revenue. So in a nutshell, tax expenditure is the aggregation of taxes that government is supposed to have collected that we are not collected as a result of the granting of those tax incentives. And so that is exactly, some people call it off-budget expenditure, some people call it revenue losses, but for us, we don't see it as revenue losses because you grant incentive to get some economic gain, so it's not a revenue loss. What we do in the tax expenditure management is to articulate and aggregate, analyze and appraise all the tax incentives that are being granted in terms of tax expenditure in an annual basis. So that's what we do in the FRS for now. You grant incentives based on your legal framework. It's different from someone not paying taxes. You are not paying taxes because it is backed by your legal framework. So the process is you first do what we call benchmarking. You try to identify all the legal frameworks that has to do with tax incentives. So when you have identified all those legal frameworks, what we call benchmarking, you put a benchmark system. For instance now, if we want to look at the VAT, we want to say, what is the benchmark for VAT? And we say, okay, that is 7.5. As of today, it's 7.5. For what kind of products? For what kind of consumption goods? So you do that benchmarking, then from there, you now translate that benchmarking into a reporting process. One, you must be articulate in tax management, tax operations. Tax expenditure is not, it's an operational office. It's not a policy office, it's not a statistical office. You must have articulate knowledge of taxes. So when you get your data and then you now put it in a matrix, because you must have a module that you will use now to calculate the holistic figures that government have given out for a particular period, most especially maybe for 12 months, or for 6 months, depending on the requirement. So that is a process. So for FRS now, what we do is that we get this data using a hybrid mechanism because we still feel that there is still not high political and administrative momentum when it comes to tax expenditure as it regards to FRS. So we are using this hybrid method. What is the hybrid method? Collecting data from the tax files and collecting data from the tax formats. For instance, if it is a CIT information, we try to benchmark it with maybe 30% or 20% depending on the threshold. So we now use that to calculate how much is government losing or how much have government granted. So that is the process of what we do when we do calculate tax expenditure. We came on board as tax expenditure management some 3 years ago the plan was for us to automate the process. Now, but the difficulty we had was that it is not too good to have two ICT solutions in an organization. So Tax Promise was already there, it's already there. So trying to incorporate all these things into Tax Promise has been the problem. But by all indication, automation would have been the most seamless way for getting this information. But for now, we still use the hybrid system. The momentum for tax expenditure and tax incentive, because now we use it interchangeably, and I'm going to explain. You cannot isolate the two, because there can't be any tax expenditure without a tax incentive. But we all know that not all tax incentive generate to tax expenditure. So you can't separate the two. Now, how has it helped FIRS? Before now, like I said, the collection that we normally do collect in managing tax expenditure before now, outside the oil and gas, we are one of the highest collectors. The records are there. We do collect, we certify. Sometimes when I tell my superiors that we collect so amount of money under tax expenditure, tax incentive, we wonder, but we thought this is a sector whereby you are giving out grants. So in terms of revenue generation, yes, it's been very, very wonderful. Years back when McKinsey came to do some rebasing, that was a long time ago when I was at Pioneer, they came with this impression, that they have the mindset that there are so much abuses of tax incentive. And so they just wanted me to highlight the abuses. And I said, no, it doesn't work that way. It is not all about abuses. It is all about what exactly is the law saying. If the law says I shouldn't pay taxes on XYZ, and if I'm not paying taxes on XYZ, I have not abused the law. But if the law says I should pay taxes on XYZ and I'm not paying, then it means I've abused the law. Now, there's a difference between lack of compliance and going by the rules of tax incentive, tax expenditure. Sometimes people think that because you have been granted incentive and you're not paying, then that means you're not complying with taxes. No. Tax expenditure is backed by law. Like I said, the legal framework. Lack of tax compliance is not backed by law. No government will say, don't pay tax. But government can say, don't pay taxes based on what we are expecting to do. Now, for the abuses, we have been trying to monitor abuses. The only problem we have now, because there's no centralized mechanism to manage tax expenditure, tax incentive. It has been decentralized, and so it's becoming a little bit difficult. So the only thing we do is that when we get the data, because we are tax practitioners, we try to analyze the data and know, okay, this area, we don't think you have complied with the law. But it has not been that easy the way it was when it was managed in one place. Yeah, the challenges, like we said, is first trying to identify, because we are not just reporting tax expenditure for FIRS, we are reporting tax expenditure for the whole of Nigeria. And so you can imagine that data is always a problem. So how do we get data for FIRS alone is an issue. How do we get data for customs is an issue. How do we get data for people like the midstream is a problem. So we've been trying to see how far we can have an interface of technology whereby we can plug in our own data with that of customs and all that. So the challenge, I would say, in managing tax expenditure and reporting is that of data. Tax expenditure, when we're talking about Africa, West Africa, really gathered momentum first in Nigeria. Now, but most of those things that we started with, and we are no more operating them have been taken over by some other West African countries, and they are now up there managing their fiscal policies well, and we are not anywhere. Sometimes we go to the meeting, they still look at me as, you are the one that originated this matrix, because me and my team, I don't want to say me alone, we developed the matrix that is being applied in West Africa now for tax expenditure reporting. But the momentum is dropping here, while the momentum is increasing outside. So that's a big challenge. We've been able to develop the matrix for tax expenditure reporting, which have been adopted by the whole ECOWAS member states for now. And with that, we have also been able to produce a tax expenditure report for Nigeria for 2021. When I say, we produced for 2021, some people say, so what about 2022, 2023? Does it mean that you're not doing anything? No, it's not so. We produced tax expenditure report for Nigeria 2021. We've been producing tax expenditure report for the FIRS on a preceding year basis, and also trying to develop the benchmark system, which is a very difficult thing, the benchmark system. Well, now, you can see that we have a 25 million naira threshold for companies not to file taxes. That's a very big gamut. So we've been able to develop something that we can use to put those ones into our reporting line.
Over now to SWAT for what's on the net.
Hello and welcome to What's on the Net. My name is Joyce Wateku. At Abosade_Ola_1 is asking, while trying to apply for TIN on Tax Promax website, I noticed that the email and phone number displayed weren't mine, which indirectly means I won't be able to get the code. How do I get this resolved ASAP so I can get this TIN? Update your CAC details and complete TIN registration. If you are not receiving the OTP needed to finish your TIN registration, your phone number or email on the CAC portal may be incorrect. To fix this, log into the CAC portal or visit their office. Update your phone number and email address. Once corrected, the OTP will be sent to you so that you can complete the registration. Accurate contact details are key to a smooth TIN process. At Batet1 is asking, hello, why is the JTB portal registration for individuals not working? Many individuals have reported challenges registering for a tax identification number, TIN, on the Joint Tax Board JTB portal. The issues are often due to incomplete system integration between JTB and FIRS, high traffic or technical glitches on the portal, delayed processing, sometimes taking up to 4 weeks, incorrect or mismatched personal details like BVN, NIN, or date of birth, browsers compatibility issues in some cases. Users are advised to double-check their details, try off-peak hours, switch browsers, or follow up to the nearest FIRS office. For urgent cases, JTP support can be contacted via phone or email. Handing you back to Laurie.
Thank you, SWAT, for that beautiful segment. And on that note, we conclude this week's episode of Tax File. I hope you are walking away with fresh insights and a clearer view of today's tax landscape. Do follow us on our social media handles showing on your screen now. Until next time, I am Laurie Bala Hassan. Stay informed, stay compliant, and keep watching Tax File. FIRS, simplifying tax, maximizing revenue.